I did things a little backward that time, didn't I? I was trying to add Vimeo to the stream. And forgot to click my background music. Larry, good evening. How are you? Paul, thanks for joining me. John Callison, always a pleasure, my friend. Cliff, Lance Valentine, Sir Lancelot. What's up with you, my friend? I would imagine you're getting ready to go live at 8 o'clock on your social media outlets. Hey, Corey, how you feeling, buddy? You've been through it, that's for sure. Glad you're home. Hope you're getting better. Bernie, good evening, my friend. How are you? Jerry, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Uncle Johnny, you got any littles with you this evening, Johnny? Jim, where'd Lance go? Lance has been writing seminars today. His eyes hurt. Tony, did you get the Outdoor Magazine minutes that I sent you regarding the crow hunts? Were you able to listen to them? Pretty cool, huh? You're a star, Tony. You're a star. Matt, good evening. How are you? Johnny, how are things in the Yoop? Mike, say hi to Marlette for me. A little better every day. Dave, good evening. My name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live. You probably know this. Many of you have been with me before on Wednesday night. Good, Tony. I'm glad you got to listen to him. Jim, hello. How are you? Do I know someone that'll help with a bear hunt? Well, what do you mean by that, Jerry? Are you looking for a bear guide? If so, right there's your guide, Johnny Bowler. Tracy, good evening. How are you? Johnny said it snowed all damn day. Well, pretty much hasn't it snowed all damn year for you, Johnny? Terry, good evening. Nice to have you along with us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Steve Wyndham. Steve, one of the good guys, formerly of MUCC. I had him on the radio show this week to talk about Outdoor Mentors, the Pass It On Outdoor Mentors group, about getting kids involved in the outdoors. Well, the first thing you got to do, Jerry, is get a tag. That's the hard part. Anyway, Steve, you really got my wheels turning today about some options and about some potential activities. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Randy, how are you? Jerry said he was on the ice this morning, but here tonight. Jerry, how did you do this morning? Jeff, happy Wednesday to you. Okay, Lance, somebody at the last event at the Lumberjack won a Detroit River trip and hasn't contacted you yet. You've only got 3 trips in April and 7 in May. Need to get them booked. So, whoever was at the Lumberjack Wednesday Night Live the last time and got those trips from Lance, get a hold of it. Now, the Lumberjack is owned by the Forward Corporation. Cody Gibson right here is with the Forward Corporation. Cody, good evening. How are you? I'm trying to get Cody to our next Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack. Cody, nice to have you along with us. Forward Corporation, 101 years now of family ownership, serving travelers and residents of Michigan for more than a century. How cool is that? And you know I love Forward Corporation, West Branch, Northeast Michigan. Just great people. Really, really good, solid company to partner with. And I'm really happy to be working with you guys. Mike, hard water fishing was on point last night. Barometer was up, getting those walleyes to bite. Jeff, good evening. How are you? Ed Bolanowski, good evening. Craig Ferdy from South Africa is here. Is he on with you right now? Is he watching with you? Ferdy, thank you for your generous donations. Ferdy has donated to the golf outing. Ferdy has donated, and we're talking an African safari here, to the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner, which is coming up right here, Saturday, March 7th. 1.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor 2026 to get your tickets. We're about 2/3 sold out. Cody says, we'll get it taken care of, Lance. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate that. Ed says, maybe I won the trip. Michelle, I always love it when Michelle's on here with Craig, because if Craig was on here by himself, who knows what he would do or say. But Michelle, who is his better half, keeps him in line. Chris, good evening. How are you? Randy, nice to have you along with us. Joe checking in from Germfast. He is watching. Birdie, thank you, buddy. You have been so very generous in helping to make charities that I'm involved in money, and we appreciate it. I appreciate it. So thank you, Ferdy. Bill, I'm in Ohio prepping to walleye fish tomorrow on Lake Erie. Good luck. Have fun. Eric, how are you this evening? Tom, nice to have you along with us. I'm also hoping, Roy Miller says, take me fishing, Lance. Don't you guys start up to this week. Last week you were having your own little conversation, jabbing each other. Justin, good evening, buddy. How are you? I'm hoping that the whitetail whisperer, John Eberhard, is on with us tonight. John is on the radio show this week, and he just sent me an email. He said, hey, John, I'm getting ready to do a Wednesday night live. Why don't you check it out? Joe, good evening, Pastor. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. I have to make a confession, Joe. I realize you're not a priest, but I'm going to make a confession. I didn't go to church tonight. Wednesday night is usually my night to go to church. I leave a little early. In fact, a lot early, like halfway through the sermon. I leave to get back here so I can do a Wednesday night live. I just don't feel great tonight. I'm kind of under the weather. And it's gotten worse as the day has progressed. So I didn't go to church. And I might not do a full 45 minutes tonight. But I figure if I confess that to you, Pastor, that my sins will be forgiven. Jerry, good evening. How are you? Gary, nice to have you along with us. Hi, Kathy. I bet you have been enjoying the comments about your daughter, Amy Trotter. Nothing but good, positive comments. Wish you and your family nothing but luck. Mike, how are you? Joe says, your sins are forgiven. I need to keep you on speed dial. That would be a nice little chip to have in your back pocket, wouldn't you? Text Joe. Pastor, I sinned again. No problem. You're forgiven. Randy, good evening. How are you? Yeah, Mike, it's not a big deal. It's one of those things where my wife Denise and I both picked it up from my grandson Bodie, aka Bob. Bob started daycare the first of the year. And so you know how that goes. When kids are first in daycare, or in daycare in general, they get every little thing that comes around. Well, they're sick for about a day. And then their parents, Shelby and Aditya, are sick for 2 days. And then Grandma and Grandpa, who get it from typhoid Bodie, were sick for 3 or 4 days. Not a big deal, just enough that I didn't go to church. Ed says there's a lot of crud going around. There is a lot of crud going on. Chris, good evening, buddy. How are you? Jim's getting ready. The boat ready. It won't be long. The creeping crud. It is. See, this is very interesting. And Randy, I'm so glad you worded it this way. Randy said, what do you think about deer baiting returning? Deer baiting isn't returning yet. It's not a done deal. And I have heard from so many people who say, hey, we're going to get the bait this year. It's coming back. It's a done deal. Now, I am convinced that it will be a done deal. The deer baiting issue in Michigan is not done yet. The only thing that's happened is the House has approved it. The Senate hasn't approved it. And the one that sits there in Lansing who reminds me of the Wicked Witch of the West from um, that old show. She hasn't approved it. She hasn't signed off on it. So, to answer your question, Wizard of Oz, to answer your question, what do I think of it? I think it's a good idea, but it's not a done deal yet. I'll talk more about this a little bit later in this Wednesday Night Live. Um, it's not going to come from the DNR. It most likely will come from the legislature, which I think is a bad idea. I would rather see the NRC do it, Natural Resources Commission. The legislature certainly has the power to do it. They have the authority to do it, but I don't want them to get involved in our fish and game laws at all. I don't want politicians making those decisions. The DNR is not going to back this. However, if it's forced down their throat by the legislature or the NRC, they'll have to go along with it. There was a very, very interesting statement that came out of the DNR last week, and this is extremely significant, where they said, we are open to the conversation of bringing back baiting. However, we would like it to be framed by the NRC, not the legislature. That's not a direct quote. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, the deer baiting the deer baiting returning is not a done deal. Tim, how are you? Corey's going stir crazy. Yeah, Beverly, I appreciate that. It's not that big a deal. It's just one of those things that kind of makes you miserable. Not even miserable, just uncomfortable. Otto, how are things in Petoskey? Yes, indeed, The Wizard of Oz. My favorite movie of all time, The Wizard of Oz. I love The Wizard of Oz. When I was a kid and first watched The Wizard of Oz, for one thing, I didn't know it ever went to color because we had a black and white TV. But those flying monkeys scared the hell out of me. Even to this day, if I was walking down the sidewalk in front of the house and I saw a flying monkey go over the neighborhood, it'd creep me out. Chris, how are you? Yes, indeed, Wizard of Oz. I know it's the Wizard of Oz. Our lovely governor won't sign it. I don't know. Mark, good evening. Mike, 27 years on his job. Family has given me the reason. The Lord has given me the drive to stay positive and keep going. Good job. Chris says, I agree. The NRC should be making this call. And the thing about the NRC, I am tempted to call it the new NRC. It's not. But we got rid of that one politician out of Flint, and my memory is a bit foggy tonight, and I apologize. Becky Humphreys is now the chairman, and we're supposed to get a new commissioner this year. So with those things in mind, I'm thinking that the NRC might be a little different and maybe more. And just, my friends, just because she vetoed it once in 2019 doesn't mean she would veto it again. If she can find some way to spin it for her good, she would probably do it. Kathy says, I love the comments. She definitely is love. I know about grandkids passing on the crud. They're coming north this weekend to go skiing. Get ready, Kathy. About Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, you're not going to feel so good. Chris, how are things in Kansas? I don't know if that's the case because I don't know if the 2026 deer regulations have been approved. I think you're probably right, Tom. More likely would be 2027, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. People are going to bait. That's right. Oh, I remember when she said we couldn't go fishing. I think she's caused more damage to the state. And the fact that she got reelected basically proves that you can't trust the voting public, which means you can't trust politicians, which means, not all, I have some politicians, some friends who are good, solid people. But if you can't trust voters and you can't trust the people they elect, then how can you trust those politicians to make good decisions on our fish and game laws? Wizard of Oz, flying monkeys, yeah. Joe says for the DNR to back baiting, they would have to admit they're wrong, and they're not. You don't see that happening. I will tell you, Joe, I have had many conversations with the top powers that be in the DNR about the baiting issue. And you're right. They're never, ever, ever. And when I do this, they're never, ever, ever. Do I remind you of Taylor Swift when I say that? Never, ever, ever, ever. Right? All you Swifties who are watching right now. The DNR, excuse me, is never going to go along. If they're forced to, they will. But the move to make baiting legal is not going to come from the DNR. If I had $1 million, I'd bet it. Lance says, brother can't watch today because of the monkeys or the munchkins. That's right. We would need a flying monkey season. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the flying monkeys would be considered an invasive species, so you could do population control without a license, or if you would need a base license. That's a very good question. Not in Petoskey. Live in Mansalota and work in Traverse City. I am sorry, Otto. Where did I get the idea Petoskey? I apologize. Am I talking about Dana Nessel? Well, it could be her too. Danny. Need I say more? Dave says monkeys are creepy regardless. Don't talk to me about that food plot, Chris. Michelle Beck. Jason Beck's wife. Hey, Mike. Oh, it's Jason. Jason from Indiana. I got my tickets for the Trinity Monitor dinner today. My wife and I will make the 6-hour drive. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. And here's the dinner that Jason's talking about. And his wife and Jason are going to drive 6 hours for this dinner. It is Saturday, March 7th, our 9th annual Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. Trinity Monitor is my church. I don't own it, but I am a member there. And the dinner has grown to be a very, very, God has blessed it. It's a wonderful event. We make a fair amount of money and we have an awful lot of fun. So thank you, Jason. I will look forward to seeing you. We're about 2/3 of the way sold out. And go to one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor 2026 to get your tickets. Thank you, Jason. I look forward to meeting you and Michelle. Roy, did I hear they're trying to lift the rod limit of the Great Lakes? Yes, indeed they are. You're welcome. I'm not saying that I was the guy who got it this far. I have been one of the people who has been spearheading this for the last several years, because I think having a rod limit on Great Lakes trolling anglers, it's an arbitrary number, 3, doesn't mean anything. As long as the resource is protected by the size limit, and it is, and a creel limit, the number of fish you can keep every day, it doesn't matter how many rods you use to catch those fish. This will be a self-regulating rule, meaning if you're fishing out of a 14-foot boat, you're not going to run 8 rods. It's going to be however many rods you can run without getting tangled. The House Natural Resources Committee, I'm pulling this from memory, and my memory's not good tonight. I think the House Natural Resources Committee approved it. I don't think the House has yet. So it's unclear if this will go through or not. But when I talk about changing the fish and game laws in Michigan, making them more simplified, making them more common sense, this is one of them. Get rid of the rod restriction on Great Lakes trolling anglers. It is like a heat wave out there, isn't it? Mike, it feels great. I'm not sure what that means, Tom. Just use the brush from the ice storm, make a funnel to hunt. That I understand. I sure hope the DNR get on fire assessment. That I don't know. Joe, you're reading my mind, you guys. I'll come to that in just a minute. That is a topic of discussion on this week's radio show. Rose City Deer Track and Hounds, how are you? Corey says, Roy Miller, yes. Everybody else in the state, if this goes through, would be able to use more rods, except for you, Roy Miller. You'll be limited to one rod. Oh, no kidding. Bernie says he likes me more than Tay Tay. Maybe I should do the Eris tour. I've been around longer. Steve Wyndham is looking forward to the dinner. Larry says mute swans are invasive. We can't control them, so flying monkeys would be safe too, I would imagine. Oh, Johnny, you're not going to win the prize for the farthest drive this year. And this year, Johnny, the prize is a $500 gift certificate to the Forward Corporation. Yeah. So, Johnny, you're out of the running this year. All right, Nick, we'll see you tomorrow, buddy. Tom says, I just viewed all the posts from the Mullet Lake Mark Martin Fishing School. Looks like I had a great time, lots of fish. Post on the Sheboygan Chamber Facebook page. Joe says, hello, Mike. I'm just about ready to order my pontoon from Angler Quest. Any chance you'll sign the dash? I'd be happy to, but only if you will allow Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuis, to sign it as well. Johnny says he'll start from Marquette. Renee, glad you're with us. Okay, since the topic has come up a couple of times, well, let me run through some things here real quick. The weather, indeed, the weather. It is a wonderful, wonderful break. You know, if you followed me for a while, one of my true signs of an impending spring is a dead skunk in the middle of the road. Now, it's a little early for a dead skunk in the middle of the road. However, I heard from my friend Bill LaShawn yesterday that he saw a dead skunk, a fresh dead skunk in the middle of the road in Saginaw County yesterday. The true sign of spring, to anybody who really knows, though, is the return of the red-winged blackbirds. Last week's sturgeon spearing season on Black Lake was 48 minutes long. They took 6 fish. The biggest one, a 67-inch female, 79.4 pounds. Talked about baiting. I am convinced baiting will come back, not from the DNR, probably the legislature, hopefully the NRC. Yes, they would have to move very, very fast to get it for the 2026 season. It'll likely be 2027. Events coming up. The Trinity Dinner I talked about. Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack Restaurant is going to be the next one, Wednesday, April 15th, tax day. We're going to open up for reservations on March 1st. March 1st. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. John says, hey, remind us how we can watch Lance after your Wednesday night live. I like him at your shows. Lance, you still on here, buddy? What is the link to watch you live at 8 o'clock? Lance is much, much more knowledgeable than I am. Chris says, filmed his school for a couple of years. Always great with a great staff. Look, they're having a great time at Mullet Lake. Nick's in his swimming pool right now. That'd be good, Joe. Maybe it was a pet skunk. Larry, Mad Jack. Well, Shane, it's nice to meet you as well. I hear you. Johnny says, you sure it's a skunk and not just pot? Good point. Jason's coming up from the south. Johnny's coming down from the north. We're going to meet in Midland. How cool is that? Okay. I actually think I said on the radio show this week that we would likely see baiting in 2026, and I think I'm going to make a social media post about that as well. You're right, though. It's more likely going to be 2027. Okay, here's who is coming up on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this week. My first guest is Steve Wyndham. You know Steve. Steve, well, number one, he's just a good friend of ours. Lance says, we've changed our schedule a little. Best way to see our live stuff is to hop on the platform, sign up for a free account, and keep an eye on the feed. And that website is thewaleyezone.com, thewaleyezone.com. Hey, Bill. Bill Hahn of Jay's Sporting Goods, jaysportinggoods.com, one of the great guys in the industry. I was hoping Bill would be able to join us for this event, our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction coming up Saturday, March 7th. But that is the same night that Bill Hahn of Jay's Sporting Goods is having the event at their church. And Lance Valentine is their featured speaker. So that's going to be a great event. I would never direct people from our Trinity event to your event, Bill. Let's just say you have an open invitation to come to our Trinity event next year. Lumberjack is a great place to eat. Steve, fellow Trinity brother, how are you? I met your oldest son, Shane, sometime back. Excellent. Lance, I appreciate your support, buddy. Good evening, TJ. How are you? Okay, let me get back to who's on the show. Steve Wyndham joins me. Steve has become a good friend of mine. Steve is an absolutely wonderful guy. I met him through MUCC. I have worked with him very, very closely on several projects, including the first 2 Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outings. Steve has moved from MUCC to a new group called Outdoor Mentors Pass It On, or Pass It On Outdoor Mentors, one or the other. It's a group that started in Kansas, but they're moving nationwide. Their goal is to be in 40 states in 4 years. Michigan is one of those states. So we talked about that group, why it's important to get kids in the outdoors, and is it the solution to our declining hunting and fishing population. Then Myron Gilbert joins me. Myron talks about, he's with the U.S. Angling Association. He talks about the World Championships of ice fishing. In our second hour, Captain Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters in Manistee, we talk about steelhead fishing. He said the river's been pretty iced up until this thaw, and now it's wide open and there's lots of fish. Then Tom Weston from the DNR joins me. Tom talks about this new digital kill tag system. It's in place. It will be in place for the upcoming turkey season and then for the fall deer hunting seasons. In order to use the electronic tag, you've got to download the DNR Huntfish app, and I would recommend everybody has that. It's a pretty beneficial app. And then you've got to get your tags using the app. Once you do that, you harvest an animal, you electronically tag that animal, and as long as that animal doesn't leave your control, you could be in the house, it could be out in the garage, but I mean, as long as you still have control of that animal, you don't have to put a physical tag on it. Now think about this. Think about how for years game wardens have spent so much time enforcing the tagging laws. Now this new law from the DNR comes along, and if you do it correctly, you don't have to put a tag on an animal. Interesting. So Tom talks about that. The Ask Avery question, I'll come back to it. It's a question that came up last week about if you get a ticket for baiting, how does it affect you hunting out of state? Remind me, we'll come back to it. And in our third hour, we're talking post-season deer scouting with the whitetail whisperer, John Eberhardt. We wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire, Dixie Dave Miner. Okay, remember last week we were talking about, the question came up, okay, and we were talking about baiting. If you get a ticket, all right, because if you get a certain level of a game violation in Michigan, that follows you across the country. So I asked the question, if you get a baiting ticket, are you hosed for hunting out of state or going into Canada? The answer, so the bait ticket is a misdemeanor. It could cause you some extra time at the Canadian border crossing, but it will not prevent entry. As far as the U.S. states, it has no bearing or effect. The only time you have issues with other states is if your hunting privileges are revoked here in Michigan, as they are then also revoked in the other member states. You don't get revoked for a baiting ticket. Oh, geez, where'd my comments go? I just lost them. There we go. Let me go back. Bill, looking forward to it. Thanks for the mention. Definitely be there to support yours. Hey, Bill, as long as we're at it, is yours a fundraiser? Is it a ministry? Are you selling tickets? Are you looking to sell tickets? If there's information, please post it. Randy says, Mike, the only problem with unlimited fishing rods is I'll have to buy more. I hear you, Randy. One of my purchases this spring is at Jay's Sporting Goods, Bill Hahn. I'm going to go to Jay's and I'm going to buy a dozen of the Romanak trolling rods because they're inexpensive. They do the job. And trolling rods don't have to be sensitive. They don't have to be expensive. And you're going to break some once in a while. So, I'm going to go there to Jay's and I'm going to spend a few $100 on a dozen new trolling rods. Then I'm going to get reels. That's going to be the expensive part. Emil Rousseau of the Lumberjack. And Emil, as you know, we will be at the Lumberjack for our next Wednesday Night Live, the Forward Corporation Lumberjack Restaurant in beautiful West Branch, Michigan, on April 15th, and we're going to open up reservations on March 1st. Anyway, Emil says Steve knows how to organize golf. Hands down, hope to see him at this year's event. I do as well, Emil. I would hope to see Steve Wyndham at this year's event. Nick says he got a kid out, got an 8 point. It was so great for him. Excellent. Gene, good evening. How are you? Gene, how are things going at the old Apex, the old Angler Quest? How is the new company doing? Lance, good evening. Tom says, please ask him about the fire assessment from the ice storm. There's two problems with that statement, Tom. Number one, the show has already been recorded. Number two is the guy I talked to would not know anything about fire assessment. You've got to remember the DNR is a big government bureaucracy. As a result, oftentimes, one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. So you're not going to get a guy who handles digital licenses who's going to know anything about fire assessment. And game wardens get this all the time. People bitch at game wardens about rules and regulations that the conservation officers have no say in. They should be complaining to the biologists. Lance says, that's a great choice. What reels should I get? And keep in mind, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on walleye reels because, number one, walleye is not going to put a strain on a reel like a salmon does. It doesn't have to have a good drag, and it doesn't have to have a lot of line capacity, as you know, Lance. And I'm not going to use them for salmon at all. They're strictly walleye reels. What should I put on those Romanak trolling rods that I'm going to get at Jay's Sporting Goods? Bill says, just a ministry outreach. No charge to attend. Good food, great prices at no cost. Excellent. Johnny says, hey, Mike, I'll be a year older on your next live. How old are you, Johnny? Are you older than dirt? Steve says, I'll be there, Emil. Love to support Mike. I appreciate that support, Steve. Saturday is Johnny's birthday. My granddaughter, my only granddaughter, has a birthday coming up Monday. Kid got a 4 point. Jerry, my doctor's filled out the transfer permit for advanced illness. How to get help asking for a bear elk tag to transfer for me? I don't know for sure, Jerry. I'm sorry you're going through this, but I'm quite sure you have to go through the DNR on this, and there is a process. I don't know if you have to go through the local conservation officer or just the local DNR office. Get in touch with the local office, and this is going to be a pain because getting in touch with the local DNR office is very frustrating sometimes. Tell them the situation, ask them for the paperwork or the online form to fill out to get somebody to transfer a tag to you. Larry says it was tag before drag. Now e-tag before drag, I'm guessing. Good for people with no tape. It says, Johnny Bowler, aren't you going to be a year older this Saturday? Bill, you're going to give me a dozen free rods? Outstanding. Bill says, hey, Bill Hahn from J Sporting Goods. And Bill, let me just say publicly, congrats, buddy. Bill, who has been a mainstay at J Sporting Goods for many, many years, very well respected, very well known in the industry. Bill's been promoted, and he's now the number 2 guy at Jay's. So congrats, buddy. You've earned it. He says, make sure you see me so we can take care of you on your soon-to-be rod purchases. I take that as Jay's is going to give me 12 free fishing rods. That's the way I see it. Tony says, save me some room trolling 12 rods in skinny water. Tony, I was thinking about this the other day. I really want to get out with you and Randy this summer on my angler quest. I really want to do that. Number one, I want to show you what that experience is like fishing on the angler quest. But also, because you have so much experience out there too, I think I can learn a lot from you. And maybe we can share some information. And I just think you and me and Randy, and I don't know why I'm saying this, maybe we get Tony Sovey out there. I don't know why. I don't know why we'd want to take Tony. But I think we should do that. Gene says, haven't built a pontoon yet. So, Gene, are the employees all laid off? Are they going to build them in St. Louis? Dean, good evening. How are you? Lance said, a great reel for the great price are the Akuma Cold Waters or the Daiwa AccuDepths. Don't go too cheap. Chris says, Okuma reels. Johnny says 35. 35 my ass. That's what I need, a Zebco 303. John Callison, who also works at Jay's in their marketing department, says, I've been waiting for Bill to tell you that. Scott Hand says, do you have an angler quest? Nope. But I got one coming. How does the E-tag work if you take it to a processor? Don't know the answer to that, Tim. Good question. I don't know the answer. Bill says, thank you so much, Mike, but you definitely took that out of context. Randy says, I can't wait to fish with you. You already have, Randy. C said, that would be great. Tony said, great. Good, thanks. Nick's going to go buy a boat tomorrow. 53. Oh, you're dyslexic. You told me 35. You think my boat would look like a porcupine? It does. When I go out, I routinely have 14 rods, 12 or 14 rods. I don't always run them all, but I figure you can judge the skill of a Great Lakes trolling angler by the number of rods he has in the rocket launcher. So even though I'm not a very good troller, I'm not a very good angler in general, I look impressive because I have a whole bunch of rods sticking out of the angler quest. Tommy, how are you, buddy? Tom says, I doubled the Okuma Cold Water 15 LC. LC stands for line counter. Over 40 years of trolling with different reels. These are the best. So, Tom, how much are these going to cost me? And I like Okuma. I've been using Okuma rods and reels for years, so I like Okuma. How much? Well, I could just look it up. Okuma 15 LC. In fact, I'm going to write this down right now. I know I've got it in comments, but I'll never find it later. Okuma 15 LC, which, if I listen to Bill Hahn correctly, Jay's will probably give those to me as well. So I'm going to get 14. I just raised it. I'm going to get 14 new Romanak trolling rods, and then I'll get probably a dozen Okuma reels. And Jay's is going to give them to me because the number 2 guy at Jay's just told me that, and it's in print. I've got it. Gene says, no, we're not laid off. Still going to make them here waiting on materials. Gotcha. You can name the boat the Rake. I'm hilarious. Johnny, good night, buddy. I will be awaiting that text, and if it is what I think you're going to tell me, well, Johnny, you know this, and I'm being serious. I'm always proud of you, buddy. You're one of my best friends, and I'm proud of you for all the good things you do in this world, and you do a lot of them. But if your text is about what I think is coming, congrats in advance. Emil says he has the same. Highly recommend. $110. So I'm going to have 2 rods into every reel. Aditya says hello from Tubby Time. Now, I was talking about Bodie earlier, aka Bob, who I'm now calling Typhoid Bodie. Because Aditya, you know that little bug that Shelb had? Well, your mother-in-law and I, your father-in-law, now have this, and we're looking squarely at that beautiful little package of joy called Bodie that you're looking at in the tub right now. It was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it seeing you guys. They come in gold, pink, and blue, 90 to 100. Now, why would I want gold, pink, or blue? Bill Hutton says, we could talk about some horse trading for some rods for another fantastic ride on the Angler Quest. Consider it done. Randy, I'm going to get the 7-foot Romanak board rods. They come in 7 and I think 9. Now, the Angler Quest has enough width to run 9-footers, and that's more what I'm used to. But when I've got a bunch of people on the boat and I'm setting rods and I reach up there to grab that tip and pull it down, I think I would like a 7-footer better. And I don't remember if those are Shakespeare or what, but they're the rods that Jake and Mark Romanak came up with. But you see where my mind is? And Scott Hand, no, I don't have a boat yet. But I'm getting another one. And I'm getting it earlier than last year. In fact, I've already started to set up several charity fishing trips. So I know you were trying to razz me. It didn't work. Randy says, I agree, 7-footers. Bill Hahn says, Angler Quest, smoothest ride on the bay. There's no doubt about that. Ain't no doubt about that. Okay, what else? One more plug tonight. The next event coming up in my world is the 7th. Well, no, the next event is the MUCC convention next weekend. Let me get rid of this for a second. That's going to be very interesting. With luck, we will get to meet a new MUCC CEO. Maybe. They don't have an 8-foot version, Lance. It's 7 and 8.6. That's what it is. It's 7 and 8.6. I like the action of the longer rods. But 8.6 is getting a little long. You think I should go with the 8.6? Yeah, they do give you more give. Huh. I don't know. I'm a little frustrated. I'm going to have to spend twice the amount on a reel that I'm going to have to on a rod. Okay. 1.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor 2026. Get your tickets. 2026. That's Saturday, March 7th. And I made it for the full 45 minutes. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh, my Avery, master of the wild, your stories and laughter keep us beguiled. Every fish that you catch, every heart you embrace brings us closer to nature's grace.
Hey, thank you, my friends, for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. I think I'm going to call it a night now. I think my day is over. My day is done. The website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That makes sense, Lance. John, Larry, Eric. All right, my friends, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next time right here. Well, a great weekend on Wednesday Night Live.